Modern medication did not work for me. Modern medication did not work for me. Modern medication did not work for me. Modern medication.
Hello and welcome to Mercy TV, your source for news and information on the cannabis issue with a focus on medical, as we cover that issue as it unfolds here in Oregon, across America, and around the world. Greetings. I'm Paranormal, and along with producer PK and Sunny, we'll be hosting this segment of Mercy TV. I guess we should call you PERC, Sunny, or Patient Resource Coordinator.
Thank
PRC.
you.
Our
Thank
PRC
you.
man.
Thank you.
All the perks that come with being a medical cannabis patient, you know.
Well, if you need help, you know, a lot of patients sometimes need help with their doctors, and, you know, that's a big deal. You know, when you're using cannabis and you have a lot of pills and stuff with your, you know, your condition.
Right.
You know, it helps. The cannabis helps.
Right.
So much.
I mean, basically, you know, in the more severe cases, folks are dealing with multiple medications for their conditions and issues. Sometimes half of these are for the very pills that they're taking. You know, one pill begets another one because of the symptoms and effects. And so when cannabis is able to help these people with these symptoms and effects, then they don't need those medications and they can reduce them.
You know, and that's where we started. People sometimes hear that cannabis wasn't no good, then they find out cannabis really helps.
Well, it comes down to a quality of life issue. And that's because mainly all the lies about what the adverse effects of cannabis, you know, discourage people from trying it. And it's sad because not only does it not have the negative effects, and I think it's important to note how benign it is, how safe.
And like you said,
you know,
how you use it, and how you use it with your other medications.
Right.
And that's important. And you get on a routine. You get on a routine with your medications, because a lot of people have a certain medication and the routine that they have to take that medication.
Right.
And that medication with the cannabis really helps.
Okay.
And that really makes a big difference.
So there you have it, folks. From someone who knows, medical cannabis patient Sunny, who's a very prime example of the healing powers of cannabis, all the things that it can help you with, from the spasticity to the skin conditions, to internal effects, to broken bones, to arthritis, to knee and joint issues resulting, to seizures, to...
Well, you want to talk with your doctor and let them know how you're doing and what's going on, and let them know, because then they can adjust your pills, and that's what they do with your blood test.
Right. So informing your doctors, very important, very necessary and primary component of getting your card, assuming your place has a card, your state or country that you're in. And to find out, you can and more about the educational points that we have, we encourage you to visit our website, mercycenters.org, where you can find out more about our organization, Mercy, the Medical Cannabis Resource Center, and our other action items, along with Mercy TV. So get the information you need to help yourself and find out ways you can help us and others in the medical cannabis community. Yourselves, eventually, really.
Pardon me. Hey, you people that are on the medical cannabis program here in Oregon, please keep your card renewed. Renewed your permit because it is benefit for us, the patients, to have our little leeway with this card. And that means growing our own medicine.
Right. Yes, there's definite benefits to being a medical cannabis card holder in Oregon.
Well, it's important as a patient for us to keep our cards and be able to go to the dispensary and get our medicine. And, you know.
Well, there's the financial advantages. Fortunately, Oregon has a recreational law, so all adults can consume cannabis for medical purposes without their permission, technically. It's just that the medical patients have such a need that they need their own growing, they need their own producers, caregivers, and others to, like bakers, you know, like folks, chemists, pharmacists, you know, able to medically and most efficiently, you know, put together medications, cannabis medications, you know.
Well, that's why every state and, you know, a lot of countries, Perry has it all set up. And right, you know, your conditions, you can use cannabis, you know, rubbing it on, you know, the oils, smoking it, you know, drinking it, I mean, rubbing it, all the different ways to consume the medicine helps. You know, that's what's important, you know.
That's important, the fact that it's benign, it's safe, that, you know, it's effective, and, you know, all told, it's just a win-win, except for the people who profit from prohibition, and those aren't nice people, because it's a lie, basically, that they're supporting. And it's all about power and money, both for the people conducting this ass war and the people who are profiting from the alternatives to the cannabis that you're being allowed. So, I mean, if you're familiar with the recent opioid crisis, there's an example of somebody who funded the war, particularly making sure that cannabis was an alternative to their, quote, medicine. At the same time, they bought politicians and other government officials to okay their horribly addictive and fatal, often fatal, medicine. You know,
wouldn't hear any negative reactions from using cannabis like you would hear on these over-the-counter medicine
right? So
that
many
the
things.
pharmacy is pushing on.
I mean, even aspirin. There's a lethal dose of aspirin. There's a lethal dose of caffeine, but there is no lethal dose of cannabis, of THC.
Well, the cannabis is going to make you hungry. You know, that's what cannabis is going to do. It's going to give you an appetite.
There's your side effects, you know.
Or sleep.
That's what it's going to do, or make you sleep. You know, we know that that's what cannabis will do. A lot of people have a problem.
Well, you know, we should say more accurately that cannabis relaxes you so that it's easier to sleep. It doesn't put you to sleep, i.e. knock you out like a narcotic. It's important to note that cannabis is not a narcotic. It's not a drug in the sense that the prohibitionists want to imply that it is.
It depends on your condition. You know, a lot of people, depending on their condition, have a lot of different issues.
Right. Some are calmed. Some people report feeling cases of anxiety, but that's more due to a lack of experience with the cannabis effect, which is to be a bit lethargic in some cases, more calm, more relaxed, I should say. Yeah, you may have the munchies. You may experience that your eyes get red. You know, I remember listening to a hearing where someone was talking for prohibition, and them commenting that people's eyes being red was like a medical condition, like there's something wrong with it. You know, like it affects your vision or something, or what, I don't know. It's like, so what, your eyes are red? I mean, they get red from any number of
smoke,
things,
from
you
pollen.
know, and it wasn't considered a bad thing under those circumstances. Why now all of a sudden, because it's from pot, oh, now it's a bad thing that should be avoided? It's like, what? No.
Well, the information that we are talking about is all good, and that's information that is for us patients, and the information that we have is to make us healthy.
Now, we could have better information, but we would have to get rid of the war, you know, because we were talking earlier before the show about a study that we'd read a report on, and we were talking about how so much negative about cannabis and none of the positive things that we know of, you know. And well, check out the source, who was funding this quote research quote survey study. And you know, at the end of that, it's, you know, somebody again who profits from prohibition's ongoing thing, if you will, like the opioid industry, you know. So, and the only way to change that, I guess, is what I'm driving to, is where we talk about voting, you know. And just as a matter of point, we're recording this show on the 4th of July, 2021, and we think that here on Independence Freedom Day, we should talk about continuing your freedom and independence and guaranteeing it by register, voting, and getting everyone you know to do so also, and then getting everyone you don't know yet.
Well, we're so thankful for all our blessings and CCTV, and you know, we when Perry and I went down and talked to Ellen about doing these shows, and look how long ago that was and how many shows we've put out.
Another director ago, because now we have another person we can go down and say hi, and
we're so thankful, you know, and how many shows we've done.
Yeah, we've done a lot of shows.
And even through this pandemic at this time.
Really.
And we're so thankful for all the people at CCTV, and you know, the message that we've got out, and all the patients that we've helped. And you know, it's so good because the medicine is good.
Right.
And all we're trying to do is get medicine to people that need help. And we know that the medicine is good.
We're an all-volunteer organization. No one is getting paid to be here and do the things we do. In fact, it costs us each individually, in more ways than one, to do this. So we assure you, this is not a paid or political advertisement. This is purely about citizens who have experience with something that is quite life-affecting, life-saving, life-benefiting, and then there's those ways life-changing, yeah. And so we really have to do this. Back in the day when we first learned about many of this, there was greatly illegal, and so sometimes even talking about it, you know, doing these things could get you a police raid. Many a times we would have somebody go and speak at a rally or testify before the state, and then would be followed home by the authorities and have their place raided as a result of them testifying to the truth about cannabis, you know.
Thank you, Dr. Levesque. Huh?
So, yeah, and physicians getting hassled by the DEA for so much as speaking out, you know, and
Nurses.
that's still going on in many states here in the U.S. and in some countries around the world, often at the insistence of the U.S. government, who's making their pot war an international thing, by golly. You know,
we got more states. We got more states to make legal.
Right, yeah, and it's a growing trend that you can help accelerate by, again, registering, voting, and getting everyone you know to do so also.
And that's what is important. And the cannabis will help you and the conditions that people have. And, you know, or if you need some help, you know, you can send it to Perry.
Right, visit our website, send us an email, make a call, We hope with the improvements in affecting our health, public health, through pandemics, this one and the upcoming ones, that we'll be able to gather and otherwise organize people to get together, share stories, share resources, organize, register voters, and generally network, particularly in the information and other things to get people with the program, getting them growing their own, getting them in the position to make their medicine to most benefit them, whether it's a tea, a tincture, a butter, brownies, or
Cookies,
The healing
the
oil.
healing oil,
pancakes.
pancakes,
All
But
of these
that's
things.
making other food groups there.
Well,
Make-
all of them do is when you get that in your system, it goes with your pills and it's all digested. And then when you get that going, it's all digested. And when you get that going with your pills, it's how it's metabolized with your food and with your pills. And that's how it gets going. That's why it's so important about how you're, when you get going.
The routine that you were talking about,
I'm trying to
with
tell
your
you.
foods, with your pills, everything, and your
It's
cannabis
very important,
medications.
you know, and that's the importance. And when you get that going and you realize, wow, I feel good and I got so much energy and wow,
Yeah.
and the next minute you know, the day's over and you realize, man, I can't wait to get to tomorrow, and the cannabis is that good.
Yep.
And wow, what can you do tomorrow? Again, do the same thing,
Just
And
don't overdo it.
that's the thing you got to watch for. Sometimes we've had patients come back and say, wow, I'm wore out,
Right. As you, of course, that media is not a good trust, but in the stories you've been hearing, most likely you hear in the media about someone who has had an issue with it, panicked and called the authorities, and you hear this phone call, oh, help me,
My dog ate the stash.
or people taking their pets to the vets, so forth, or children, and I think it's important to note that none of these folks have died first, and that all the cases we heard about kids consuming too much cannabis, there's been no reports of them any behavior. They're not they're sleepy and stuff. They're not trying to jump off the roof. They're not going nuts and claiming spiders or trying to get them, or it's all these tales of reefer madness people have to discount.
the main thing is you use cannabis and you realize, depending on your condition, how you feel, you use it, the condition, the cannabis, how you use it, how you metabolize with it is depending on your condition. Do you want cookies? Do you want pancakes? Do you want to just use some oil? Do you want to eat it? Do you want to just rub it on? These are the things you have to, do you want to use it once a day? Do you want to use it twice a day? Depending on you, depending on your condition. These are things you have to work out for you. Oh yeah, and the strains. Because some strains are a little different, and it takes a little time, and these are the things you work with your doctor. And these, your blood tests, because the doctor will take blood tests, and the pills he gives you. And these are all things that they work out with the blood test, because it works out different things in your blood tests. And it works out good, because they can tell how good you're doing, and that's what it does good for you. And that's what it makes you, how good you're doing.
Right.
I mean, it makes you healthy. And that's what that cannabis does. It makes you healthy.
So, excuse me, people in the hospital, please talk to your doctors about using cannabis as another alternative medicine. You don't have to smoke it to get the benefits from the plant. There's thousands of different things in the plant other than THC, and you don't have to smoke it to get the benefits to relieve your skin ailments, your carpal tunnel pain, or your pains from bug bites, surgery. Hey, it's a safe medicine. You wouldn't hear you would have a heart attack or something negative if you were using cannabis.
Right. All that reefer madness.
Well, and we are so lucky to have so many good doctors that know how good.
Well, we
cannabis-
have the law in the state, and it was supported by a few brave physicians, because even after it was passed, it still took courage for those docs who were willing to sign. And that's because of the federal law. Your getting of your doctor's, your approval to be a doctor depends on the feds and the industry, certain industries and groups too, unfortunately. So it's going to depend on the doctors in your area, and certainly, like even here in Oregon, it's still not easy to find a doc willing to sign for you.
It's
Now,
ridiculous to pay these stupid fees to see a specialist if your personal doctor
that's what folks are having
wants
to do, yeah.
to sign. And then if you were a patient asking for an outside grower, you're asking for a couple more $100 to it.
Right.
And then you'll be getting on the metric system. And then they'll be tracking every part of the plant. And
Right.
that's a lot of work for a grower to be doing.
So the prohibitionists in Oregon have taken a multi-pronged attack on the approach to the medical marijuana program here in Oregon. And one of those things is to make it too expensive. And one of the ways they've done that, and another objective of theirs, which is limiting the growers available to people, and they made it much more difficult to grow by the expense and effort to join an online program and to have such things as 24-hour security, things that require a great deal of expense and technical expertise, which is just more expense than unnecessarily so too. And in so doing have chased growers out, have chased patients out of it, and along with refusing to add conditions, other fee increases without any purpose other than to limit the number of people with the program.
Well, and the whole idea is to make it difficult for the
Right.
patient.
Yeah.
And we at the Mercy Center are trying to make it as easy for the patient.
Right.
Because we know that the patient is having enough problems already.
Right.
The cannabis will help the patient, and we will help the patient.
Mm-hmm.
So if you need help, send Perry,
Right.
send Perry a note, and we'll help you. We just want to make it as easy as we can.
But you folks need to help yourselves, get yourselves educated, and speak up and speak out. Talk to your friends, your family, your co-workers, your doctor. And if you're in the hospital now, if you're in a situation, talk to your nurses, talk to the caregivers.
That is so important.
Yeah.
That is so important, because if you don't do that, how are they supposed to know? That is what is so important. If you don't talk to them and tell them that, this is how you feel, they don't know.
Right. Well, and
That's like talking to your congressman or your senator. They need to know your personal opinion or your group's opinion.
and to know what the law is, and to know what the points of the of prohibition, and which are lies, and what the truth of those points are.
Because this is where we are. We know the medicine is good.
Right. And so, you know, when you talk to your doctor or your politician, your representative, you may hear, oh, well, cannabis is a medicine, and, you know, that's not a true statement. Well, it's illegal at the federal level, so we can't even talk about it. That's not true neither. There's no such thing as smoked medication. Well, you don't have to smoke it, as well as, no, there are smoked medications. And so it goes on and on, you know. But it won't have an effect unless you all vote on it, you know. And not just these days, it's not just the registration part and then voting yourself when the time comes, but making sure that your registration's good, and making sure everybody you know that their registration's still good, because there's a lot of voter registration purging going on along with the other voter suppression things. They're going to try to prevent folks from gathering ballots for their friends and family and taking them in a group, as opposed to relying on individual people to make trips to get it done. They're going to try to prevent folks from helping those who are like waiting in line or assisting in any way, shape, or form. You know, there are some places that made it illegal to give a bottle of water to somebody standing in line, you know. And the ridiculousness of it just goes to show the desperation of folks that want to prevent the will of the people. And you've got to resist this and work past each and every one of these roadblocks that they try to set up, you know.
Back to the importance of our senators and our legislators.
Well, to know how they are. You want to know if you're going to support them or not, so you've got to ask them their opinion, you know. As PK has done many times with his camera in tow to get it on the air and all.
Well, we want to know where they're at and make sure that we have some support. You know, we've had this law, we've taken it, and look what we've done with it, and look how many patients are getting good support.
Right.
You know?
Well, that's about all time we have for the show today, looks like. Yeah, we're winding up.
So, thank you for Dr. Lebec, Nurse Ed, Mike, Shauna, and the other members of the Mercy Center and on the earth.
All the CCTV.
Right.
CCTV.
Thanks to my co-conspirators and Compassionate Common Sense.
Watch my
PK,
daughter.
Sonny, thank you, bros, for doing this all these years. Thank you, CCTV, for respecting our freedom and rights, giving us the liberty to speak as all these years to do this show, to speak the truth. And we hope that you folks will take the word and pass it on and put it to good use. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next time on Mercy TV.
Be
Stay
safe.
safe.
Be safe. Any questions, give Perry give him
Visit the website, mercycenters.org. Thanks. We'll see you next time.
You want to say anything before I turn it off, Glenn?
Yes, good night.
Good night. God bless you all, every single one of you.